The room was quiet that morning. Too quiet for a house that large. Sunlight slipped through tall windows and rested softly on the polished wooden table. The house looked beautiful. Expensive paintings. Soft carpets. Crystal glasses. Yet the silence inside felt heavy. Marcus Whitmore was 46 years old. A man the world called a billionaire. A man whose companies reached across cities and oceans. But on this morning he sat alone. It was his birthday. No music played. No phone calls came. No laughter echoed through the hall. Marcus slowly poured himself a cup of coffee. The steam rose gently. He looked at the empty chair across from him. Years ago the chair had been filled. Friends. Partners. Family. Life had once been noisy with celebration. But time has a quiet way of showing truth. Success often brings crowds. But not always companionship. Marcus gave a small tired smile to himself. He whispered softly. So this is what success looks like at 46. Outside a car passed by the gates. Somewhere a bird sang in the garden. Inside the house the clock ticked slowly. Tick. 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 He thought about childhood. Back then birthdays meant something simple. A small cake. 2 candles. His mother singing in a warm voice. No gold plates. No grand halls. Just love. Marcus closed his eyes for a moment. Sometimes memory is kinder than the present. He stood slowly and walked toward the large living room. The housekeeper had the day off. The staff were gone until evening. Marcus preferred it that way today. There are moments when a person needs silence to hear their own heart. He walked past the staircase. Then he stopped. For a second he thought he heard something. A small sound. Like laughter. Marcus frowned gently. Perhaps the wind, he thought. But then. Another sound. A tiny giggle. Marcus turned toward the kitchen. And there they were. Naomi Carter stood beside the table. She was 32 years old. A woman with warm brown skin, kind eyes and long braided hair tied behind her shoulders. She wore a simple blue uniform and bright yellow gloves. Naomi had worked in the house for 6 months. Not just as a nanny but as someone who quietly kept warmth inside the cold walls of the mansion. Beside her were her children. 2 small boys. The twins were 2 years old. Malik and Jaden. Malik wore a soft blue sweater. Jaden wore a pale yellow one. Both sat proudly on the table. And between them was a small cake. It was not perfect. The icing leaned slightly to one side. 3 small candles stood on top. The twins were already doing what toddlers do best. Exploring chaos. Malik had grabbed a handful of cake and laughed loudly. Jaden followed his brother and smashed another piece. Crumbs flew everywhere. Cream dotted their cheeks. Naomi laughed gently while trying to clean their hands. Marcus stood frozen near the doorway. The sight was so unexpected. So alive. Jaden clapped his hands and crumbs scattered again. Malik squealed with delight. And suddenly Naomi noticed Marcus standing there. Her smile faded for a moment. "Oh, Mr. Whitmore. I am so sorry," she said softly. "I did not mean to bring the boys today, but the daycare closed and I remembered it was your birthday." She hesitated for a second. Her voice carried a little nervous warmth. "So we made a cake." Malik turned toward Marcus with cream across his face. He raised a messy handful of cake proudly. As if offering it. Marcus stared at them. For a long moment he said nothing. Then something unexpected happened. He laughed. Not a polite business laugh. A real laugh. The kind that escapes before pride can stop it. Naomi looked surprised. Marcus walked slowly into the room. He looked at the little crooked cake. Then at the twins. Jaden waved a crumb-covered hand. Marcus shook his head with a smile. "Well," he said softly. "This is the most honest birthday party I have seen in years." Naomi relaxed and laughed gently. The twins were now fully committed to cake destruction. Cream dotted the table. The floor was not safe either. Marcus pulled out a chair. He sat down slowly. For a moment he simply watched. Two small boys laughing with the fearless joy only children possess. Naomi trying to keep order while failing gracefully. And a cake that looked like it had survived a small storm. Marcus felt something warm inside his chest. He realized something simple. Happiness rarely arrives perfectly arranged. Often it arrives messy. Covered in crumbs. Malik suddenly slid a piece of cake toward Marcus. Marcus raised his eyebrows. "Is that for me?" he asked. Malik clapped proudly. Jaden copied him. Marcus carefully took the piece. He tasted it. The cake was simple. Very sweet. Maybe slightly uneven. But somehow it tasted better than the luxury cakes he had ordered in past years. Naomi lit the candles again carefully. She smiled shyly. The twins leaned closer with wide eyes. Marcus looked at the three small flames. He felt strangely emotional. Naomi spoke gently. "You should make a wish." Marcus thought for a moment. Then he blew out the candles. The twins cheered as if they understood everything. Marcus leaned back in his chair. "You know," he said quietly. "When I was a boy my mother used to bake cakes like this." Naomi listened with soft attention. Marcus continued slowly. "She would say something every birthday. She said, 'Marcus, money will build many houses. But kindness builds a home.'" The twins began another round of joyful chaos. Naomi laughed. Marcus watched them. And suddenly the mansion did not feel empty anymore. The morning passed slowly. There was laughter. Cake crumbs everywhere. Tiny footsteps running across polished floors. Marcus even found himself playing a simple game with the twins. Rolling a small ball across the table. Malik laughed so loudly it echoed through the hallway. Jaden tried to catch the ball with both hands. Naomi watched quietly. She noticed something. Marcus looked lighter. Like a man remembering how to breathe. Later they sat together in the warm afternoon light. Marcus spoke gently. "You know, Naomi. People often think success means being surrounded by many people. But many of those people only stay near the success. Not the person." Naomi nodded slowly. "That is true," she said. "My grandmother used to say, real wealth is measured by the people who show up when nothing is being offered." Marcus smiled. "Your grandmother sounds wise." "She was," Naomi replied softly. Marcus looked again at the twins, now sleepy after their adventure. He felt something he had not felt in years. Gratitude. Not for business deals. Not for stock markets. But for a simple moment of human connection. That evening the house no longer felt silent. It felt alive. And Marcus understood something important. Life does not always give us the celebrations we expect. Sometimes it gives us the ones we truly need. A nanny. 2 toddlers. A crooked cake. And laughter that fills an empty house. If this story touched your heart, please support the Black Voices. Like this video. Share it with someone who needs a little warmth today. Subscribe to the Black Voices for more stories of life, wisdom, and human connection. And leave a comment to tell us where you are listening from. Your voice matters. And your presence keeps these stories alive.